jam, pump it up while your feet are stumping. And the jam is pumping, look ahead, the crowd is jumping. Pump it up a little more, get the party going on the
Week number 10, who's number one? Last weekend, some good races to get to. ACA racing out in Colorado, where the now Masters rider Brandon Dwight takes down Alan Krugoff. Some New England stuff, some Max Series stuff, Sacramento Series. Cody Kaiser gets the job done there. Of course, across the pond, we had a couple North Americans doing the GVA and Super Prestige. Cycling Dirt was down in North Carolina for the North Carolina Grand Prix. And, of course, in San Francisco this weekend, the single-speed Cyclocross World Championships. Moving on, your women's rankings this week. 6 women this week fall off the list, whether it's for lack of racing. Georgia Gould, Emily Batty, who now end their season. And then we have Caroline Mani, the French woman, who goes back over to Europe, ends her North American season. That's right, guys, you know what that sound means. This week's Jump of the Week goes 10 places up in the rankings, takes down Andrea Smith in New England. It is Crystal Anthony, of course, of the Anthony Dynasty in New England, inside the top 20. A lot of people are going to be happy to see her there. Number 16 this week now, the only French woman in the United States, Julie Kresniak. A couple of bad weekends coming in, whether it was Louisville, the Boulder Cup, now goes to San Francisco this past weekend, wins herself the single-speed cyclocross World Championships. Now let's take a moment. The picture, golden bikini. All right, moving on. Number 8 this week, Laura Van Gilder goes to the Max Series, doubles up, taking both wins there. Number 5 this week, Chloe Woodruff. Last weekend, it was Caitlin Anthony. Now Chloe Forsman. The young women in cyclocross are killing it this season. Chloe goes out to the North Carolina Grand Prix on day 1, takes her first ever UCI cyclocross victory, then goes out the next day and does it again. Now, unfortunately, Chloe ends her cyclocross season, now back to Tucson, back to the mountain bike season, but I did hear a rumor out there that she'll be back next year, 2012, for a full season, so somebody sign her up, somebody. No changes in your top 4 this weekend. Caitlin Antonou wins herself a local race. Amy Dombrowski, a couple of top 10s over in Europe. Now, Katie Compton over in Coxside. Amy! What is that? Come here. What is it? No changes inside your top 4. Caitlin Antonou wins herself a local race. Amy Dombrowski, a couple of top 10s over in Europe. Now Katie Compton over in Coxside this weekend, practicing in the sand ahead of the World Cup this next weekend. Guys, it's going to be a sick battle. We're going to see Compton go up against Dombrowski again. All the top women in the world in Coxside. Look for coverage all weekend here on Cycling Dirt. Now, here we are just past halfway in the season. More than 1,000 videos of cyclocross here on Cycling Dirt. But guys, some of the best videos we've got have been from you, whether it's John Wheeler uploading some sick pro bikes. We got In the Crosshairs doing some cool Mid-Atlantic coverage. So keep them coming, guys. We want to see your videos, your photos, your footage, and if they're good, we'll feature them right here. Now, this week we want to show you this user video. Comes from some sick aerial helicopter footage of the single speed World Championships. Men's rankings this week, kicking things off with your drop of the week. It's Jerome Townsend, goes down to North Carolina, goes for it both days at the front of the race. Go big or go home. Unfortunately for Jerome, he's got to go home because he couldn't get it done. DNF outside the top 10. Moving on. Number 51 this week, way back in the rankings, but pay attention, guys. Molly Cameron over in Japan right now, doing some UCI racing over there. A cool up-and-coming scene. Look out for updates on that. Number 25 this week, Christian Hoyle. Guys, he's been falling off the rankings week after week, dealing with injury after injury. The word is he is back. He's training. I guess Tim Johnson and him were doing some motor pacing sessions together. When he can get it back together, look for Christian back in your top 10. Number 22 this week, and your jump of the week, it's Dylan McNicholas. Now, not a huge jump in the rankings, but a very important jump, guys. Dylan McNicholas is now the top-ranked regional rider in North America. Now, by regional rider, we mean hasn't traveled outside of his region to race, hasn't done a USGP yet, so big things from Dylan McNicholas. Somebody get this guy an airfare, and let's get him out to the USGP in Bend. Number 12 this week, it's the Wisco Disco. Brian Matter goes second place both days in North Carolina. Now that's Brian Matter, not Brian Matter, as we learned this weekend, but second place in those UCI races ought to get him a better start position coming into the rest of the season. Although, should UCI points really dictate your start position?
North Carolina 2014.
All right.
And who's number 1 rankings for all USGP call-ups?
Nice.
All right.
You said it, man.
Number 8 this week, Chris Jones, like his teammate Julie Kresniak, goes to San Francisco, wins himself the single-speed cyclocross world championship. Let's just take a look.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
Top 4 this week, just like the women, there's no movement across the board. Jeremy Powers, still your number 1 ranked rider, and Ryan Trebone, still number 2, despite the knee injury last week, despite the fact that I hear he might not be racing at Jingle Cross, and Ryan doesn't even know this himself yet, but there's a new component coming in from SRAM designed specifically to allow Ryan to race. Now, I happen to have it right here with me. Now you can see it mounts directly underneath the top tube, so right on the dismount. If we could zoom out on this, if we could just, so comes on the dismount, unleashes, and it will allow Ryan Trebone to make his way through the run-up. All right, guys, week number 10 is in the books. As always, take a look down below, click those links, check out all the stories we talked about. Now we'll see you this coming weekend. We got World Cup action, Jingle Cross, Bay State in Massachusetts. It's gonna be sick. So as always, go ahead, come on, click it. You guys know what I'm looking for. Thanksgiving, have a good one, and we will see you all next week.